Welcome in, everybody, to the In Off the Bench podcast. I mean, you heard the song. You know, Daniel. That means we got Tennessee baseball on deck. My name is Jim Cross. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Daniel Ball. We are 2 days from baseball. It is so close. I can taste it. But, man, we gotta talk about the past. We gotta rehatch with a champion. Chris Stamos, how are you doing?
After that intro, much better. Holy cow, that was awesome.
Man, it was an absolute electric ride. We're obviously going to get into it, but we'd like to break the ice first. I got to ask, me and Daniel have been going back and forth on, prior to the Super Bowl, who the halftime should have been, afterward, who it should have been. I was a big proponent of Lil Wayne being it was in New Orleans. We've also talked with a lot of guests. Would have been nice to have some country in there. If you could pick, it's your halftime.
Creed.
Who is the artist you want playing?
Creed.
You say
Can
Creed?
you take me higher?
Of
course. I mean-
people ask me why there's a national championship in Knoxville. 63% of it might be Creed.
Nice, Creed. What's your go-to Creed song?
Either Arms Wide Open or what's the One Last Breath? Is that the actual title of the song?
Yeah.
Hold me now.
Daniel,
I'm 6 feet from the hill.
Daniel, when we were working security at Memphis and May back in high school, do you remember to this day what happened at the Creed concert?
I've probably forgotten a lot of things purposely that we saw and did.
No,
during
I'll never
security
forget this moment.
detail.
And maybe you weren't at that stage, but I was. And some jabroni decided he was going to throw a bottle at Scott's staff, and he jumped off the stage and meleeed him. They found out real quick it was about that life.
Let me tell you this. I remember, Chris, working the stage at a Seven Dust concert, and it was awesome. It was mad.
The only other band that I'm not a huge concert guy, mind you. However, my roommate on the road was none other than Aaron Combs. And I think there was a stretch. I think we lost our first weekend at Alabama. It was horrible. We're not going to talk about it. From that point on, I think every Friday, that's kind of when me and Aaron knew that we were probably going to pitch that day. It was either that or Saturday. We would listen to Blind by Korn, but it would be the video of them at I don't even know, Burning Man, some just out where there's 100,000 people just headbanging. And that is how we would start our Fridays. The other team didn't have a chance after that.
Oh, that gets you in the zone, man. I mean, when you
just the best way to just get ready for some SEC ball.
Yeah, it's when you see the sea and it has these huge waves like those crab boats, that's what it looks like with all the people.
I never even fathomed that you could get 100,000 people to just do that. You know what I'm saying?
Man, I'll tell you what, we played the stroke on the intro. Dude, 100,000 people in Neyland doing the stroke. I texted Billy in real time.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, he was like, I always joked and was like, what's it feel like to be the coolest player in baseball? Then that happened. And I was like, bro, you really are the coolest player. I was like, dude, it's football season and they're still doing your thing in Knoxville.
Yeah, no, he's pretty cool. He's my grandchildren are going to hear about Billy Amick.
Well, before Daniel gets into this, we want to acknowledge the hardware. It obviously has been revealed. Me and Daniel talk about it each year. We've been blessed to have the most guests from each national championship team since we've been doing this. But me and Daniel have talked, and I'm even an LSU fan, so they got a ring in the mix. Tennessee's the best one I've seen. Daniel, what do you think?
Yeah. Color Pop, it's got a lot of white diamonds, which I like white diamonds with a little bit of Color Pop, and it's not super flashy. It's exactly
color orange too. We talked about Mississippi State, the maroon does obviously peel as much as orange, and then you got Ole Miss who made the huge mistake, no Color Pop, can't even read Ole Miss on it. So I don't know, Tennessee, like they do everything else, excellence, man.
That's pretty special. I can't wait to get mine.
Oh, it's going to be a magical day, Chris.
So
Man.
excited.
Now we
They
got to
put
make
a
sure.
fiddle right next to the dirt that I have from Omaha.
But I had to do that, Daniel, because we need people to actually be able to see Chris's face. So had to blow us
Hey,
back.
guys.
Yep. He's got the clean shave. He's ready for the new
Actually,
season.
I had this shave this morning. The missus was on my back for like 4 days.
Hey, it's a big weekend, man. Like,
The
gotta
biggest.
make sure you're looking good. Gotta look right.
Yeah.
We talked about it last night with our gymnastics guest because I'm going to LSU baseball opener on Valentine's on 2:00, and then Friday night #1 against #2 in gymnastics. I'm going to hang out with a bunch of other women on Valentine's Day, so I got to play my cards right tomorrow night.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good luck.
And I just found out, Chris,
Yeah.
the weather's pushing LSU to maybe have a doubleheader on Friday, so I might go baseball game, them gymnastics. It's going to be crazy.
Sounds like a pretty good time to me.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it. Let's go. All right, Chris, let's get into this, man. Obviously, West Coast guy. Where exactly from the West Coast is home for you?
So Pasadena, where the Rose Bowl is, just a little, I guess, little brother of Pasadena is called Altadena. It's basically the greater Pasadena area, but it's up in like the San Gabriel Mountains. So that's where I'm from. That's where I was born and raised, and then got my undergrad from Cal Berkeley, and then I entered the transfer portal, and that's where, Tony V found me.
I mean, it's
what a great find.
If there's players to be found in this transfer portal, that is I know it's a thing. I've never seen it, but Tony V's gonna find them.
I mean, they're crazy. It's actually crazy how
he's like Inspector Gadget of the transfer portal.
Yeah,
I think my favorite part of the stories we get, and we may get it from yours, but don't tell us yet if we do. But like Daniel, like some of them, throwing Corbin under the bus. Corbin's texting you, but Tony comes and sees you. That's the difference. Like Tony is going to make sure you know that he wants you and you're his guy. Like, and every guy that transfers in there talks about how they feel like family and it's a seamless fit. And, I think it's something about that culture, but, Tony's not going to send you a text message, man. He's going to actively pursue you and let you know that he wants you on this team.
That's kind of how it happened. I mean, so if we rewind back to, it was probably June or July of 23, and I was playing for the Healdsburg Prune Packers up in NorCal. So I was staying basically at Berkeley with one of my buddies who was a right-handed pitcher at the time for Cal. And, we were both, playing summer ball, but I was in the portal already. And I originally wanted to go to UT Austin because my girlfriend, who was a swimmer at the time, she's cooler than me. She went to the Olympics. She was getting her master's at Texas. So I was like, okay, I got another year of eligibility. I didn't get picked up in the draft. I had a whole bunch of injuries. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go get a master's myself at Texas and meet Matthew McConaughey. And, whatever it was, it didn't fit. They didn't really pursue me that much. They knew about me, that we talked, but there was nothing like, I didn't have a lot of confidence that they were going to give me anything. And then I'm literally making dinner after probably a 20-minute phone call with my girlfriend. Like, yeah, I don't see Texas coming after me at all. And I get this phone call, and it's like a random number, but it says maybe Richard Jackson. You know how like Apple will sometimes like give you the header? I'm like, who the hell is Richard Jackson? And so my girlfriend actually looked him up, and she was like, oh, it's a pitching coach in Tennessee. And I was like, might as well pick this one up. And then from there, it was like a perfect fit. Me and Tony were bantering back and forth. I think our first 5 phone calls had nothing to do with baseball. It was just like talking shop about wine country, Healdsburg, talking about long road trips, how much we hate driving. And then it was like, oh yeah, wait, you play baseball? Cool. You want to maybe play baseball for us? Sure.
Absolutely. I mean,
Daniel, I got a note for you, man. Especially, I just talked about going and hanging out with other girls. We're just talking to him about his relationship. He's talking about it right now. My wife was like, who do y'all have tonight? And I sent her a picture of what we got going on. This woman wrote back, he's cute to me. Man, I ain't having it. As a matter of fact, Chris, you better take that with a. That's not a normal thing she says. Normally, she ain't talking about how they look. So, man, good for you.
Hey, thanks.
Hey, take it while you can. I mean, it'll make you feel good, that's for sure. But
hey, I gotta ask on the cow thing, Daniel. I got to thinking about it. You remember when we were working with Gig Life? Did you do that? Were you at Cow when they did that commercial with the pictures?
Oh my God, was that for the little cards?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they asked me to do that, and you want to know why I wasn't in it? It was because me and my buddy had like a superstitious routine that we had to do contrast tubs, hot and cold, and the commercial was right in the middle of when I was supposed to be like cold tubbing and getting cupped on my arm, and I had a lot of arm problems. So I was like, I'm gonna sit in the cold tub and the hot tub, and you guys can do that.
I think you did all right. It did end up being pretty corny, so I think you ended up being okay getting out of that.
Because then I saw it ended, and I was like, Jesus, I'm not going to do that.
It was funny because he sent me that commercial and said, "Do you think you could get a group of guys like this?" And the irony, Daniel, is the first group I pitched was Tennessee. I was like, I can get you a lot better group than that. Like it just felt like there wasn't a lot of swagger amongst those guys, and I was like, let me do a different crop.
There's one word Tony would always use. There's no presence. And I mean, the worst part is every single one of those guys is the man. Like I remember there's like Nick Proctor, Henrik Reinertsen, who was just outstanding human being, could light up a party of strangers. And I think just the way that they produced it or whatever, it seemed very scripted. And I was like, I think you should just let those guys just be themselves. Because that's going to sell. Because that was one of the greatest group of guys that I'd ever been around in like my life, not just college baseball. But I remember us laughing about and being like, "What? How did they like script that?" And I guess they just wanted to get the
everything's better unscripted. Daniel doesn't know this as much because I set up with the guests, but there's been plenty of times where they say, "Can I see the questions in advance?" And I'm like, "No," because I don't want them to prepare. Like I don't want it to feel scripted. I just want it to come naturally.
Yeah, shoot from the hip.
Yep. Pew pew, just like that. But
that's my philosophy.
Yep, you're better under pressure. That's the way I see it. Chris, tell me about family. You got mom, dad, brothers, sisters, and
yeah. So I have one older brother. His name is Alex, and then obviously mom. Dad passed away in 2016. And I am the youngest of like 12 cousins, and we're a very close-knit family. So we basically, if you were to rewind to like 5 years ago, we were all within a 20-minute drive of each other. But now, I have cousins that live in Utah, Boston. I'm here in Texas with my older brother, Alex. But I mean, we're a close family. We do like family Olympics every 3 years. It gets really competitive. We do all sorts of, different stuff from drinking games to Wii bowling. It's like stupid, but it's fun because there's 40 of us and we're all having a great time.
And you made sure to bring a girl into your life that was an Olympian so you could really excel in these things.
Correct. I needed a ringer.
It's about being the best.
That's what it is. It's simple. It's all about winning. Whether or not you have fun, it only matters if you won.
Correct. Winning is fun. I don't care what anybody says.
Hey, you just go on a losing streak and tell me if you have fun.
Right. I mean, I get it. I get that so much. I love it. So, we talked about, you being from the West Coast and, the Pasadena area. There's a lot of tough situations going on with wildfires and stuff out there.
Mm-hmm.
You read a bunch and there's a lot of people that are going through some stuff right now, and our hearts go out to them, and there's a lot of people out there helping and doing what they can to help restore. How has that impacted your family?
I mean the fires in general have impacted our family tremendously. Obviously it's a very traumatic experience. But as far as the aftermath, there's always, and I've always been a glass half full kind of person. And so even, dealing with the passing of my dad 10 years ago, there's always things that you can like find gratitude in, and you have to look hard sometimes because I mean, there's when you're sifting through the rubble of your house, it's hard to find some gratitude. But I mean, the outpouring, like you guys said, from the Tennessee community has been unbelievable. Is like an understatement. And I know that my mom, every time she thinks about how much love and prayers and notes, and I mean, here, this is Exhibit A right here. Let me see if I can reach this. So this was something. Let me zoom out. This was something that a Tennessee fan sent me.
Wow.
Because
before I deleted Twitter, Daniel, I did see that. That's nice.
Because my senior day gift, which was a painting, burned down. And so somebody just happened to craft that masterpiece, which is now going to be hung up, wherever I go. And so it's like stuff like that I was telling somebody who I was on a phone call with. It's like the worst part is that I don't have a Costco box of thank you notes. And when I have said thank you to people, like I went to the Tennessee opening day banquet, I'm trying to thank everyone for once, and they're like, no, don't thank us. And I'm like, how can I not? Like you guys are spending your money, your time, your effort. Somebody spent so much time on this, and I've had called them and texted back and forth with them, but it's amazing. And so there's a ton to be grateful for, even with the losing of your house and your possessions, and there's a lot you can take away from really, really horrible experiences.
Yeah, I mean, what I can say about the Tennessee fan base and the Tennessee community, it's a family. And to be honest, that love and support that they showed you and your family has nothing to do with winning a national championship. Whether you won a national championship or not, those people would have given their heart to you no matter what. And I think that's very telling when you look at the fan bases across the country, because I don't think all of them are like that. Tennessee is special in that sense because they care, and they're going to, when you go and you didn't spend your whole career there, but they treat you as if you did. And that's an amazing, story, and amazing on them to be able to lift you up and you guys in a time of need. Yeah, absolutely. It puts in perspective the people that matter. And, Jim's had his bouts on social media with certain Tennessee fans, but like, these are the stories that we get and why we're still adamant about Tennessee is one of the best fan bases that you can be a part of.
Oh, there's way more good. Don't get it.
Yeah.
There's going to be a few.
There's some people that
there's
But I'll tell you, at the same time, around the same time this is going on with Chris, and they're doing that, Daniel, they were raising money for a kid at Ohio State, not like a player, but like an actual kid going through cancer, and supposedly they found out Ohio State was doing a fund, so they jumped all over it. And man, basically the Tennessee fan base took over. Man, it almost became their initiative, and so there's a lot of them that are just built different. Man, good people.
Yeah,
definitely. So when we talk about Tennessee and the reason why you choose Tennessee,
hold on, before you move on, Daniel, I got to ask the question. What did the amount get up to? Do you know on that?
I think my mom at one point was like, we have to turn it off. Like we like, this is because I remember the whole reason she let my older brother's girlfriend start it was because my brother were in Texas, so she's like, okay, if it gets Alex and Chris a free flight home, hey, that would be amazing. A free flight. And then at one point she was like, we have to turn it off. I think it was around 85, 90, which is breathtaking.
That's why I wanted to know, because I mean, that's Tennessee for the I mean, I'm sure there's other people maybe reaching out, but for the most part, that's that fan base, and that's why I wanted to know that number, because man, just shout out, like, getting it done.
That's the balls, man. That's why, when people ask, hey, where'd you go to college? Tennessee.
Yeah,
that's why.
When you talk about the love that they have given you and the support, and like I said, this is like a family. It's like culture and a community, and a lot of people that decide that Tennessee is the place for them. That's why they choose it. And we've heard players come on here and say, the culture and the community that Tony V puts together is the reason why I went there. Is this similar for you? Does this speak to why you chose to go to Tennessee?
Well, from the get-go, I mean, I knew he was like a unique person, not just a coach. Like we'd all seen the 22 team, and I'm not living under a rock, so I know exactly what Tennessee's brand is. But what surprised me the most was how familiar the phone calls felt with him. Like our first phone call, it honestly felt like I was talking to like an old high school teacher that like I had rapport with already, and that we were just catching up. No, now Tony, you don't sound like a high school teacher on the phone. Let me just throw that out there. But it was great, and I'm not joking. Like we spent so little time talking about baseball, and I think one of the things that made me like him more is he didn't even want to talk about it. Like he didn't care. He was like, "Yeah, I've seen your film. I already know what you can do on the mound." He was just honestly looking for good people, and that was one of the first things he told me, and I felt humbled and grateful that he called my number instead of probably 28 other great candidates, because he was like, yeah, we just want someone to be a good person, to be a good teammate, and that's that. From that point till us raising the trophy was the same thing. Like he never switched, he never changed, he never had different priorities. I remember when we were in one of our first meetings, being a good teammate, and I think, God, what was the other one? It was like, be a good teammate, and I think Coach Elander said, like, pay the toll every day, which was basically his metaphor of like, you're going to come to the clubhouse and you're going to show up and you're going to do what's required for the day, just so that you can take your shoes off at home and tell yourself that you got better.
Yeah.
And that's all that counts. Be a good person and work your tail off. And there's no other blueprint for success.
Yeah, it's funny you bring
Jim.
up
I was gonna say you know that in the transfer portal, the players that you talk to, they can play. Like it doesn't matter. Like at that level, like you can play. So like the talent part and what you can do is kind of a byproduct of what you are really looking for.
Mm-hmm.
You want coachability and character. Like those are the two things that you can't coach. You can't coach somebody to be a better person, and you can't coach somebody who doesn't want to be coached. So like when you have those two things, oh man, like the sky's the limit for like the capabilities.
Yeah, I was gonna say on that 2022 team, speaking to that same thing, like so many people, because of like, bat flips and celebrations, like thought that these players were bad people. And we had Drew Gilbert, for instance, on twice that season. And you talk to any of the guys like Evan Russell or Luke Lipsius, and they just would tell you he's the best teammate and the most elite. And we know that, he does the bat flips for cancer, and he was somebody who went through pediatric cancer. But like, I think people were like lost in that and didn't realize that those were like some of the best guys ever. But just because they had a little too much fun playing baseball, it was like they were villainized. And I think that team embraced it. And I actually think it's funny, Daniel, you look at this 2024 team. No one felt that way about Tennessee, but, I thought they were having the same fun, really, outside of a Jordan Beck, it was a lot of the same.
I mean, I'm sure if you ask, there's got to be, I definitely was not the most contained. I was not somebody, and I remember there's a picture of me at the SEC tournament when Marcus Phillips closed out against Vanderbilt, and we had already been chippy with Vanderbilt. Our series with them was horrible. Like we went back and forth the whole weekend, and I remember I'm like running out because I'm convinced this guy's about to start a fight after like slamming the door, and I have my hands up. I'm like, no, but like, don't do anything. And I like look back, and a bunch of like my buddies are like, why are you telling Marcus not to do anything when I'm just like, I'll go berserk with like anything that I do? And I'm like, I don't know. Do as I say, not as I do.
I mean, that same Hoover is funny. I seen all the messages on social media of people talking about Tennessee was going to Tennessee against Mississippi State. I was sitting in the front row, Chris. I know who started that, and it wasn't Tennessee. I was like, Mississippi State started all that chirping, but everybody just assumed that it was Tennessee because they kind of had that.
I honestly don't even know. To this day, I don't know what happened. I just remember I was with Aaron Combs because we were. I mean, God knows what we were talking about. And then I think they ended the inning. Simo was like on second. No, we were doing a pitching change.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Aaron Combs hadn't gone to the pen yet. Maybe it was back. Who knows? And I just remember, I'm like, wait, why are we all leaving the dugout? And I was like, oh, we're fighting them, I guess. And I remember
all the initial action, like I said, the words were coming out of Mississippi State, and I think that's what Tony was trying to say after. And then as far as like Simo, like you know how he is, you're not going to get away with saying anything to him, never.
Yeah, who knows? But I mean, blank check relationship. If he's in the scuffle, I guess I'm going to go too.
Oh, that's absolutely.
That's kind of how we all work.
But before we get into Tennessee, I got to actually ask you, man. You know, I love JUCO products. We haven't had a guy on here yet that didn't say JUCO didn't help make them a better person for one thing or another. So, you know, you did 2 years at Principia. Is that how you say it? You know, what would you say you gained most or learned most from doing your 2 years there at JUCO?
I learned how to work hard, like without a doubt. Because when I was in high school, I was, and you know, I'm assuming there's like a language cutoff, so I can't really say exactly how I was in high school, but I was not a hard worker. I was soft, like through and through. I was pretty good, I guess, and that allowed me to have success, but I was out of shape. I had a loser's mentality with basically everything. When it came to weights, working hard, even on the mound, I probably drove my head coach up a tree with how much I complained. And it literally took until the summer after my freshman year at Principia when I got with this guy. His name is Joey Steele. He played for the Marlins at that point. He was like the older brother of my childhood best friend. And I got with him and I worked out with him for a little bit. And basically he just like completely turned around how I perceived the game. But then it became a point of like, okay, like what are your actual goals? Like, why do you even play baseball? I just play it to play it. Versus, no, I had a dream of playing D1 one day that I kind of allowed myself to kiss goodbye once I had some injuries. You know, my dad died. Everything turned upside down. So I was like, I'll go play with my older brother at Principia, and that was great. I had a great first year with him. But then when he left, it kind of became like, okay, what am I working towards? And I was like, okay, well, I want to be the first person out of this school to get drafted, get my name called in some capacity. And in order to do that, I had to work so hard. And I probably worked too hard. Like, I was not working smart at all. I was waking up at like 4 or 5 in the morning. I was lifting weights twice a day, which looking back now, like everything I know from Tennessee, from Miss Beth in the dietitian's room, like, what was I doing? Like, actually, what was I doing? But I mean, I was working so hard. I was on a training program that I built with myself and my mentor at the time, Joey. So everything was very like pro style, and obviously I wasn't deadlifting twice a day, but I was in the gym, whether it was mobility, weights, anything. It had to be twice a day. I was throwing on my own, and I mean, no offense to Principia, it's a fantastic institution, but it was a small D3. Maybe 200-300 people went to the school, maybe 16 guys on the roster. 2 of them had baseball experience. And that was the roster at the time. Mm-hmm. And then it honestly took COVID for me to have some phone calls with some trusted advisors and to just be like, hey, man, you have to, if you have goals outside of Principia, you have to transfer. And so that's when I changed my major at the time and applied to Cal, and I walked on to Cal, and the rest is history.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask about, your time at Cal. We only interviewed so many guys last year when it was the Pac-12, and then even a couple of them now. It's weird. We actually just had Jacob Walsh from Oregon on. To say the Big Ten with Oregon, it feels all wrong. But talking about Pac-12 baseball, man, I understand it's not the SEC, but I mean, was Pac-12 baseball pretty fun? I mean, I imagine the weather was probably nice.
It was great. I mean, no, I'll tell you what, the weather in the Pac-12, do not let people fool you. I have pitched 7 times in the snow. Not the rain, the snow. Between 2 years. 3 times I had to pitch. I had to see Travis Bazzana Friday, Saturday, Sunday in the freaking snow. It's like raining sideways. I'm holding the ball.
It only makes you stronger.
I'm like holding the ball under my pants so it won't get wet. And then I'm like kind of like trying to figure out how to get it into my glove when I'm coming set so it won't just get soaked. It was horrible. So then we had that, and then Washington State, and then I think there might have even been one time against like Villanova on a Tuesday at Cal. It was just horrid. But other than that, the weather was great.
Yeah.
And the competition was always fun. I mean, the Arizonas were always fun. I mean, anytime we played USC, UCLA, Stanford especially, I mean, fantastic program. But whether it was a Tuesday or a Friday, I mean, they got our best every time. And then obviously the people I still talk to more than half of the 2 rosters that I, played with. They're great people. And I mean, I think it's a program that they're close. I'll say that. They're close.
Nice. Well, you obviously make the change to Tennessee, which you talked about with Daniel. What I want to ask is, I was stationed out in California. I lived out there for a little bit, and then obviously from Tennessee, so I know the differences. How much of a culture shock was that for you? Because, I mean, Rocky Top, Knoxville, it's a special place, and it's definitely not California, whether you're talking about for the good reasons or bad reasons.
Yeah.
When you get there, just how different was it for you?
Well, the humidity wasn't bad. The snowstorm was crazy. It was like early February where they shut down Knoxville for a week because it was like 7 degrees. That was the coldest weather.
Were you in the football game? That's what I need to know.
Oh, are you kidding me? I think I had 2 interceptions, maybe a tackle for loss.
I still haven't figured out in that video who's got their shirt off playing like a wild man. Is that you or is that somebody else? Who is that?
Give me 2 seconds. Let me look through the film.
They were trying to get the Tennessee guys to do it this year.
Yeah, I don't know. I felt like it was a opportunity missed that they didn't do it this year.
I can't hear him. Does he know he muted himself?
I don't think he muted himself.
I can't hear him.
Oh no.
No. What happened?
I'll tell you what he said. I know exactly who did have a shirt.
There he is.
You're back, baby.
Oh, we lost him again. What happened?
You can hear me right now?
Yeah.
Okay. I did something. I'm not going to touch my phone. So Blake Burke was under center. Kirby was the ref because apparently 2 years back he broke his ankle, fooling around. But I remember I was just playing all-time defense. It was fantastic. It was awesome. I
was a part of a group text, Chris, that had Blake talking about his quarterback skills, and Drew said that video that we got of that touchdown was the only touchdown he had, and of course he threw it to a wide open guy, which led to a whole hot debate. But then we started asking.
He's a system QB, but I mean his leadership in the locker room is fantastic. I mean, I'll tell you what, man, the guy can sling the pigskin. Is his decision making every once in a while a little off? Yeah, but so is Josh Allen. And look at that guy.
Gunslinger's gonna gun, Chris, man.
Yeah, let the kids play.
Yeah, they're gonna throw it to the wrong guy every now and then, but
exactly
more often than not, it's gonna be for positive yards.
More often than not, it finds the right guy.
We talked to Tony V the week after that had happened. It was the second time on the show, and everything that people say about him, and this is what speaks volumes. Like, people are freaking out around the country. Man, they're letting his guys play in the snow. They're going to get hurt. And he said, I'm going to let my guys do what they're going to do. And I think that's what makes them special. Like, let the guys have fun, man. Like, me and Daniel talking about real time. Corbin would absolutely lose his mind if he found out about that game. Like, everybody would be, sent back to their apartments and been like, you're under house arrest. Like, it's crazy.
Vanderbilt baseball is in a bunker right now.
I honestly just think, literally you said it. I mean, he is he's hands-on, but he's so hands-off. He's like one of his biggest sayings, because obviously he's so engaged in every game, but it's like he's honestly anti doing too much anything. He's like anti. And one of the things that he'll say, if he'll see a pitcher clearly overthinking or a hitter trying to make a 5-run home run swing on an 0-0 count. He'll say this. I've heard him say this 1,000 times. Let it play out. And when you bring that to something as stupid as us playing football in the snow, he's going to let his guys enjoy each moment. And I think that's a great example of him just allowing us to be guys together. And little things like that start to stack is why we were so close, is why more often than not our strength coach Q had to like separate us because we're like having too good of a time.
But that mentality you just said is why me and Daniel have talked so much. We were standing right there together watching the Tennessee-Florida State game, and Tennessee did not seem stressed. Then you use that let it play out method. Like, we're fine. We're gonna do it. And we talked about it. Bringing in Snead down 3 runs. What did that say? It says they feel like they're gonna shut it down right here. They're going for the runs.
We're right where we need to be. And that, with the lineup that we had, now we, looking back on it, I'm correct in saying this. There was no lead that was safe. And there's going to be little dips and hard times. But throughout the course of like 98% of games, I don't think no one ever hit the panic button. And that was so rare. So rare.
In that game in particular, like, you guys defensively had some miscues, and like, you knew, like, all right, if we don't have those miscues, like this isn't, we're not even having this conversation. Yeah, we just clean up those things and continue to do what we do, and like, we'll be fine. Let it play out.
I remember against Georgia, I think we were down like 7. It was not good. And we had just gotten run ruled the Friday before. And everyone was like, I think we're good. Like, looking around, like, pretty sure we're still good, right? And then like 2 grand slams later, we're winning by 3 or something. It's crazy.
Well, the game where Beam went the complete game, right, but gave up 6 runs in the first 3, we had Billy back on right after that, and he said that loss was on them, because he says there's no reason when he goes a complete game and allows no other runs, we shouldn't get more than 6 runs. And that tells you everything. A mentality that a lineup feels like 6 runs is just not enough. Like, we should be getting more than that.
Right. And every time we're like, okay, as long as we hold them under 12, we should be good.
Well, but I will say what your fan base did say, and luckily, ironically, it was Blake Burke's dad who came up on my Twitter and said something. Oh man, this guy said to me, we were talking about 2024 Tennessee and 2023 LSU, and he said, all I know is Paul Skeens wouldn't have been able to handle this lineup. I said, man, stop. I was
like, crazy. That guy's good, man.
I can't believe I got to watch him as many times as I did. And we messed with Chase. Chase has been on our other show, Pros and Joes, a couple times. And we're like, poor Chase Dolander had to face him every time in his career.
Guy's good, man. That guy.
Let's talk about good. Let's talk about that play I put on the opening, like that triple play, man. Just something that you don't see all that often, but it came off the athleticism and effort of you. Full layout extension. Like, dude, how awesome did that feel in the moment?
What felt even better than that is going back into the dugout and Frank Anderson being like, I didn't know you could move like that. Greatest compliment I've ever gotten. Just from Frank Anderson, just backhanded compliment, telling me I might be a decent athlete. But no, it was crazy. Because I remember what no one talks about is the at-bat before. I came in with a 2-0 count, and they took my glove away. And so I'm like working with a much smaller glove. And I'm not making excuses, but it's much smaller and much lighter. So I was yanking everything. I almost took the previous batter's head off with a fastball because I was just like open, and honestly, I thought I did hit him in the face. Ended up walking that guy. So now I'm like, okay, it's 1-1. It's my first outing as a Vol. I just walked the guy on 2 pitches. And then even if we're going to reverse even longer, my first Division I outing with Cal in the MLB Cut 4 tournament against Houston, I came in to close the game. We had a 1-run lead. I get a comebacker, right? I miss it, first off. And then I run to go get it, and then I throw it away in the river. 2 runs scored. We almost lose. If it wasn't for first-round pick Caleb Lomavita, who knows what my college career would have looked like, because he ended up hitting like a walk-off home run like 2 minutes later. So now go to my last first game, had to turn a triple play, and I was just joking with all my Cal roommates, like, yeah, we're a long way from the PFP disaster that I used to be.
Nice bounce back, and clearly that glove worked just fine when you had to extend out.
That was great. I felt so good. I couldn't stand that umpire for no reason. I mean, he's probably just following the rules.
I mean, you decide you're going to play in a big league park, you're going to have big league moves. I mean, I like it.
Have to.
But, you were talking about Frank Anderson, and, we love to talk to the pitchers on here because I really think still somehow at this point, Chris, that I still think he's undervalued by people. Like, you look at the guys specifically, I was just talking about pros, right? And we've had, since they've been up, we've had Ben Joyce, Seth Halverson, Chase Dollander, and talk about how Frank made them what they were. They were all talented. A lot of guys are talented, but it's the other things, right? And they've just talked about what Frank's done for them. Like, I think, like, I don't know, for you, man, just what did Frank mean, especially because you just got him for 1 year? Was he really able to help you take, your pitching to another level?
He was just the man. I just feel like in a day and age of baseball, pitching especially, where for some reason pitchers love to overcomplicate things. Oh, it's just our favorite thing to do is to overcomplicate things. Whether it's data, whether it's metrics, whether it's situational stuff. I mean, to have someone to offset someone like Tony, like Frank Anderson, it was everything to me specifically because I was someone who liked to overcomplicate things. And he dumbed it down to throw strikes with all your pitches and play your damn position. That was it. Throw strikes, hang your you-know-whats out, let them hit it as far as they can, and play defense. Because I won't put you out there if you can't play defense. If you can't play your position, you're not going to pitch. If you can't throw strikes, you're not going to pitch. And I was like, well, hey, I can do those things. And that's all it was. That's all I ever needed to worry about because he didn't care about anything else. Compete, throw strikes, play defense.
Yeah, we had Xander come on here and talk about the throwing strikes because, he only had the most ridiculous stat. I can't remember, Dan, was it 8-9 walks on the entire season, but he said that same thing. Just throw strikes, and it's such a big thing.
Go to the White House.
It's a game of failure for a reason. Even if you put it in the strike zone, more times than not, guys are going to hit it to your guys. I mean, especially when you have elite defensive players.
Mm-hmm. And the amount of times that I would miss horrendously with a pitch, and something good came out of it. I mean, that's the story of baseball. And I mean, on the other side of that, sometimes you make a good pitch and it goes 800 feet. And so it's like you learn to live with it, but it's like if you can look yourself in the mirror, and this is just as a pitcher, as a hitter, I don't know what's going on at their, up there when Paul Skeens is throwing 8,000 miles at you. But it's like if you can look yourself in the mirror and say, okay, I executed the majority of my pitches, and the ones I didn't execute, there was a reason X, Y, and Z. That's fine. Whatever the numbers say, the numbers are going to say. But like when you extrapolate it over the course of a season, you're going to have success.
Right.
I mean, what it boils down to, Chris, is wherever you're supposed to locate, throw it there. That's it. Throw it to the guy that's catching the ball, and guess what? Yeah. I promise you, good things are going to happen more often than they don't. It's just
the three heads that were put together to choose one pitch.
Right.
Probably better than my opinion. Now, granted, I did shake a couple times, and sometimes Cal and I would laugh and joke, and I'd be like, Cal, I'm sorry, what are you calling right now? But more, I'd say 97% of the time, if Cal called something, I was like, yep, he's right. I won't even protest.
I mean, what an elite level guy. I love Cal, and we've
been
talking about the Tony thing. Tony had his back always, said, this is my guy. And I mean, even in Omaha, having that moment of breaking the 0-for-17 streak by hitting a massive bomb, like you just love to see it. But I mean, that's your team in a nutshell, man. The amount of great character dudes, like we could talk about the talent all day, but just the amount of great dudes on the team, it's unbelievable. And that was something Billy said, when we had him on in the fall. He said, we asked him how the fall was. He goes, all the transfers came in and it's felt seamless. And, it's crazy, Chris, because when we look at the success Tennessee had, everything that he had said in real time made sense. He said it felt like there were no holes, and it felt like this team just had good chemistry. And you see how it plays out to a 60-win team. Billy clearly wasn't blowing no smoke. But let me ask you this: you come to Tennessee for all the different reasons, but ultimately, when you go somewhere for 1 year, you want to win a national championship, and y'all do. Like, what does it feel like after it's all said and done, y'all hoist the trophy? You're a pivotal part of this pitching staff. That you made the right decision to go to the right place.
It's kind of crazy because it makes me think of things like the butterfly effect of like how, like where down the road did I almost make a catastrophic decision? But it just boils down to like being in the right place at the right time, in the right mindset to make a good decision, to make an informed decision. And I mean, it felt so. I remember where I was. I was actually at a swim meet for my girlfriend when Tony called me, and he's like, "This is what we're going to offer you. Take a day, take a week, get back to me when you can." I think I called him 5 minutes later. I was like, "Hey, it's me. I think we're good to go. I'll see you in Knoxville." And that's how the whole experience was. Whether I was with Coach Tony or the academic advisors, my teammates, it just felt right. And it felt like family, like longtime family. Like these are 40, 50 individuals that it's crazy how we all just came together in the same year with such different backgrounds. And not only did we make it work, but it's like we did something crazy. We had so many crazy weekends, crazy experiences, crazy practices that no one will ever see or hear about, that all were just little bricks, brick by brick, turned into a national championship trophy. And I'm sure, the LSU team had a very similar experience. The Ole Miss team that Cinderella stored their way to a national championship, every single one has kind of like a same structure, same script, but it's like it's all filled in with different like nuances and different, unique experiences, individuals. And that's just, I think I was just so blessed to be a part of this one. And it's crazy that it happened in my only year as a volunteer. But Tony always said, he's like, the grass is green where you water it. And sometimes that means you have to leave. Sometimes it means you got to be a little patient. And I witnessed probably 20 immensely talented freshmen have to sit and wait their turn. And hopefully they get to play this year. Hopefully, they get a spot or a role or something like that. And, I was blessed to have a role and get to pitch. But it's like a lot of, especially with the transfer portal, everyone wants to leave and, go find money and do all that. And that's cool. And, you make a lot of money, but, how many times do you make a decision for the betterment of a program? I feel like that's one of the things I was really committed to do. Like, I want to go win. I don't care how much money you give me. I have a degree from Berkeley.
Well, and that's something Daniel's asked so many of the guests, would they rather have $5 million or a national championship? And they all say national championship. And it's not ever about the hardware itself. It's everything you just said about all the guys, right? The memories, blood, sweat, and tears from the beginning to the end. You can't replace it and everything that comes along. And then what you were talking about waiting your turn. I mean, we saw that from the very beginning, because when we first started this show, we had Trey Lipscomb on back in the day when he was waiting his turn. And look at him. I mean, dude has made it up to the bigs now. But yet he had to wait because, the guys in front of him, we're talking about like Jake Rucker, right? Like these were first team all SEC guys that, it was a stacked roster, but it seems like every Tennessee guy that has waited their turn, it's paid out for. I mean, look at this upcoming weekend with Tennessee starts. You see Marcus Phillips getting the start on Saturday. You love to see, he did his time, worked his way in the bullpen, not as many, innings as he probably wanted, but here we are. And I think, man, Tony's always going to reward the guys who put in the work, who have the loyalty. But the last thing I wanted to ask you, Chris, and then we can play the game with Daniel. What do you got going on now? You talk about being in Texas, you talk about your girlfriend, or is baseball, you talk about the degree, is baseball completely done, or what are we working with?
I mean, for this elbow, yeah, I got no more miles in this thing. I'm saving.
There's a lot of fans disappointed. They've been hoping, they're seeing guys signing anywhere and everywhere. They're hoping that, maybe Chris just isn't done yet.
No, I mean, I did the, I went through the draft, the undrafted free agent thing. I had some opportunities to play, like indie ball. I talked with a couple affiliates, but it never really turned into anything. And then for the indie ball, I was like, I don't know. Literally, I don't know how many pitches I have in this arm because throughout Omaha, twice, the two starts that I had warming up, I was feeling pops. I was feeling the telltale signs of, the one ligament you don't want to fail. And I think against A&M, I told Cal, I was like, hey, dude, I think, good outing or not, I literally think this might be the last one.
You I actually watched that clip earlier. You looked uncomfortable.
It wasn't great. And then watching Gavin Grohovac take me deep on a fastball over his head didn't make it feel any better. But yeah, it sucked because I was like, damn, I feel in my body, I feel like I'm at my best. And it just turned into like, I'm just going to throw until my arm doesn't.
So the wheels fall off, baby.
Literally. And I was like, I'm going to throw every pitch as hard as I can.
The beautiful part, though, is what you said. Daniel, most guys don't necessarily have that degree from Cal to rely on, right? So it's like, man, when your backup plan's that, you don't have to force and try to play indie ball. And where, some guys, that may be the only option they have. It's baseball or bust. But, you have a different option. So it opens up the
you talk to a lot of players that have played minor league stints for a long time. And they'll tell you themselves, like, I probably played and tried to pursue this a little bit longer than I should have.
And that's one of the reasons that I was so okay hanging it up, because I felt like I had my second chance when I went to Cal, when I went to Tennessee. Mm-hmm. Like I was playing Division III baseball, and then throughout Omaha or the Super Regionals or the SEC tournament, if I ever got sped up or nervous about an outcome, I'd be like, I've been playing with house money for the last 4 years. What are we even talking about? Like
I'll tell you, Chris, on our other show, Evan Russell, he announced his retirement. We had him and Sean Hunley on, but it was he didn't do the too long. He came on and said, look, man, I showed up and I realized that the other three guys were 3-4 years younger than me. He's like literally 18, 19-year-old dudes walking in. They were younger than me. They were faster than me. They were better than me. And he's like, I'd be wasting my time. He's like, it's a great dream to have, but he's like, I'm just ready to go ahead and go to work, start a family, all that stuff. And so not everybody's as smart as Evan, like Daniel said, they'll chase it, but I loved it. Evan was like, you know what? I can say that, I was here. I wore an Angels uniform. It's time to go.
And I mean, even for me, I can say like, well, I wasn't promised a national championship. Like what a better, like name a better way to end a career. And that for me, that's all I cared about. I didn't need to go play in Illinois or North Dakota for 2 months, have an injury, be away from family, and that's my last memory of baseball. It's like I don't even care about that. Or get a free agent sign for half a ham sandwich and then go get cut. It's like I don't need that. I don't need to prove anything to myself or others. It's like, and obviously it was a tough moment to be like, okay, wow, holy cow, I'm done. But then after that, it was like, I'm done.
Well,
I don't have to worry about my arm hurting.
If Cal Stark signed for half a sandwich, at least he got put with Dylan Dreiling. So there's the grass is green.
I mean, I hope they gave him at least a full sandwich because that guy's worth 20 sandwiches to me.
I messaged him in real time because he was really upset that he didn't get drafted. And I was like, bro, somebody's going to pick you up. There's just no way.
It was always, yeah. And the fact that it was Rangers was fantastic. I remember he called me as soon as he got signed, and I was like, dude, I'm so happy for you because I know he's going to have an incredible coaching career whenever his playing time is done. We're going to be talking about him in 40 years as, when he wins his 10th national.
And I don't know if you saw it. We ran the clip when him and Dylan came on for our Pros and Joe show. Him getting to pitch and then actually doing it successfully is everything.
That's so funny.
I can't believe it. He couldn't believe it either. He said, when they let me do it, and he's like, then the fact that like I did it and was successful, he's like, I don't even want to do it again. Like that's my one time and I feel good about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Save the ball.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that I do know, Chris, is that even though your playing time is done, anytime you're in Knoxville, those people are going to treat you special, because what you guys are able to accomplish is something like, it's something that there's some very, very minute, small percentage of people can say that they got the first championship for a program, and you guys did that, and those fans will forever be grateful for that, but also you'll always be remembered for that. And that's something that, when you talk about going out on top, man, like, I can't picture a better way to go out. Like, love it. But man,
you got that ring, man, that we just showed him.
You gotta show it to me so I can show everyone. I mean, I can't wait. Holy cow.
Man, that thing is special.
Look at him. Oh my God.
I mean, that's
I'm wearing it everywhere.
Yeah,
you're gonna flex that thing hard all the time. I know I would. But all right, Chris, man, before you bounce, we're gonna play a little game called This or That.
Sure.
All right, it's very simple. I'm gonna give you two options. You choose one option or the other. Can't say both, can't say neither. Just be decisive. Go with your head, go with your heart, go with your gut. Just pick one.
I have some conviction about me.
All right, let's go. All right, Jim. This or that. Who's it brought to you by?
Chinook Cedary, 8 flavors, mild to wild, the best in the game. For those who don't know, Daniel created, move it this way, smoking toast, barbecue, and cinnamon toast. Look,
cinnamon toast is the real deal, by the way.
Yes, sir. Daniel, Bobby Witt Jr. is on lemon pepper. What are we talking about here? Parmesan pepper. Parmesan Paul. Paul Skeen says he wants his face in the bag. I'm trying to make it happen. We will make it happen. And then you got, I don't have all 8 in front of me. I didn't put dill pickle, Daniel. I don't need you to say anything. But I tell you, the OG, you can't go wrong, Daniel. I love some good old-fashioned original.
Let me ask you, do you think I can get my face on the bag of a mixed mashup of cinnamon toast and smokehouse barbecue?
Here's what's crazy, Chris.
People would be like, who the hell is this guy?
I hate dealing with agents. It's amazing that I have set up literally, I will brag on this because I don't care. I've set up like 1,500 NIL deals, and I've had to do it for the most part going around agents because they're weasels. And I bring this up in regards to seats because I talked to Paul like a year ago, and I'm like, he loves the brand. He loves Parmesan pepper. And I was like, man, let's get your face on the bag. And he's like, absolutely. And then he's like, talk to my agent. And his agent only wanted to do it for a certain amount or whatever. Paul just wanted to do it because he wanted to do it. Obviously, there would be money.
For the brand, I love that.
Right, but like the agent wants all his money, and it's like that's not Chinook doesn't have that right now. They're building, they're growing, and it's like
so I'm pretty sure that guy Paul's pretty well off right now.
Yeah. I mean, that agent wants his 10, bro. He's got to have that.
Hey, since we talked enough about Skeens on this episode, and we've talked about Tony V enough, Daniel, hey, that Paul's the only guy who's came on this show and said he sat in a room with Tony V and actually didn't go to Tennessee. He's the anomaly. But the only reason, Chris, is because that series that he had when he was playing for Air Force against LSU, he alluded to it so many times on here. He said, I just envisioned myself playing there. If that same game had taken place in Lindsey Nelson, he'd be a Vol.
And I know exactly what you're talking about, where he struck some guy out and he's like staring him down for like 5 seconds.
But that came back on him because Dylan Cruz would take him yard later. So
yeah, like 2 seconds later, he's getting a new ball.
That's what it was. Paul had this feeling that he wanted Chris to win the first championship at Tennessee, and he knew if he went to Tennessee that they were going to win it. So he was like, you know what, I'm gonna settle for LSU. And you see how that worked out? I mean, everybody won. Everybody
wins. I mean, Paul, that's just a nice thing for Paul to do.
What a guy.
But I tell you, Chris, you're not on it this year, but I wouldn't be surprised. First, I think Tennessee with their talent alone, but just what Tony's done, 2022 was an anomaly because that team was so good. Like, I just have Tennessee penciled in Omaha every year. I tell the fans, go ahead because you can reserve it now for cheap, right? Get your tickets, get your hotel or your Airbnb, whatever now. Like, Tennessee's going to be there. The way Tony's just got this program moving, there's no reason to not believe they won't be back there.
I mean, he's gonna keep doing him, and he's a special guy, and he's always gonna have a special program. And it's crazy. It's always gonna be different. There's never gonna be the same mold. But it's all just going to be built off the same qualities, and that's just hard work and being a good person.
Speaking of a good person and qualities, Daniel, I got to shout out the 865 Bomb Squad. I got my jersey today, Daniel. I had to pick one of the guys that are set up through NIL. Who do you think I went with the in off the bench guests? There's like 10 of them. The guess.
Dylan Dreiling.
He's not playing anymore.
Okay, I was gonna say from this year's team.
Oh,
I think
this year's
Stone
team.
Wallace.
I mean, I know I would have went with Nate Snead. That's my guy.
I surprised everyone, and his dad messaged me and was like, "That's awesome." I went Cannon Peebles, and this is why.
That's my other guy.
Yeah,
because the way he was such a good teammate in regards to what happened last year, you know, a guy that comes there and expects to start and doesn't end up starting the whole year, most guys, you know, will cause drama, will be a problem, they'll complain. He didn't. I saw him being the best teammate you could possibly be. And even furthermore, I told Daniel, hanging out with his dad, even when his son wasn't in the game, was the biggest supporter and fan like you could find. And I was like,
his dad's the man. Like, I mean, I've talked to him so many times. He's the man, and that's one of the reasons Cannon's who he is, and you know why we won, because of, you know, how Cannon handled that role and his specific ups and downs. And
when we talk about guys waiting their turn, you know, obviously, you know, Cal earned that spot, but this year, you know, all signs point to Cannon, you know, having that position and being able to thrive, and hopefully it works out. Just another Tennessee guy who waited his turn and it worked out.
And I think last year's going to be the reason he has success this year.
For sure. Well, all right, let's get into it, man. This or that. First question: coffee or energy drink?
If you would have asked me 2 years ago, I would have said energy drink, but now coffee.
Coffee. Are you fill it full of sugar and syrups?
No,
or are you straight?
No. What my girlfriend has, like, this espresso machine. It's the thing where you like take the thing, you like put it in, like we grind our own beans. And so we just take espresso shots to the face at 7 a.m. and then go to work. It's awesome.
Nice.
That's what's up. All right. When it comes to sunflower seeds, Biggs or Chinook? This is a trick question.
No, he already answered.
Not even close. Not even close.
I mean, we've had one jabroni. I'm not gonna say names.
No,
come on here and say Biggs.
Well, first off, like, you don't even have to tell me to say it. Like, Chinook is such a unique seed. I remember I'd be in, like, right center, like shagging BP and being like, I need another bag. Like, I'm going through these like it's my job.
Nice.
I love it.
I think Tennessee was the first dugout they were in, Daniel.
Hey,
they're so good.
Good one to be in. All right, food. Cali or Tennessee? Who's got better food?
Like, what does that mean? Like
let's say restaurant, like favorite restaurant.
I gotta be honest. There's so much good food in California, and the thing is, like, in Knoxville. It's my fault that I didn't experience enough of the food, because I would just go to Smokies. I would just go to the athlete cafeteria. But like in California, there's so many good spots, and like, obviously,
if we were visiting where you were from and you were referencing a restaurant that we would need to have to try, what would it be?
If you want a steakhouse, I'd say either Fleming's. There's a Fleming's at, you know, in Pasadena or downtown. But if you wanted to go to a place like Musso and Frank, that's it. That's in Hollywood. Now, a lot of people don't love Hollywood from the South, and I'm, you know, not thrilled with what's going on in Hollywood right now. However, it's a very storied, old, like, bar and grill, and my dad and my, you know, his best friend, like my godfather, uncle, they were actors. So that's where they would eat, like, 150 years ago. And so anytime I go back there, I just think of their acting career, and like, they have amazing steak and drinks, and it's awesome because it's all bartended and waited by the same staff that waited and bartended my parents. So it's really cool.
That's the place, Jim, right there. We want the history. We want the tradition. Fishing or golfing?
I've been fishing once. I think I caught a fish, I think by accident, but golfing. Definitely golfing. I am not a good fisher. I don't know anything about fishing.
Daniel, we got breaking baseball news, man. Alex Bregman is a Boston Red Sox.
I mean, I think we knew that was on the cusp of happening. I mean, honestly,
Mike Hughes was still hoping he'd become a Cub.
I know, I thought he might re-sign, but I mean, it just kept getting later and later.
I can finally root for him, though, because here's the thing. You know, I love Alex Bregman as an LSU player, but we just have not rooted for anybody that's in Houston, and I refuse to. And so now I can finally do it again.
Oh, you can
Good feeling.
get on the wagon. So put yourself last year. Black uniforms or gray?
It was a good day when the black uniforms came out because we didn't know when they were going to come out. And what a lot of people don't know is we never knew what jerseys it was going to be. Chances are it was going to be, if we were away, it would be gray, orange, something. But if it was like a get back game or Tony was fired up for some reason or he woke up feeling some kind of way and walked in and there were black jerseys hung up, you're like, holy cow. Tony's smelling blood.
You knew something special was in the air.
Yeah.
Those black ones in there. So
the whole kit's elite, though. I mean, you can't go wrong with any of them. It's funny because you talk about it, the rotation got thrown off because Drew Beam was always known for the creams, and then like all of a sudden, like everything changed, and his mom even said something. She's like, I don't know what uniform he's going to be in anymore.
Right. No, the smoky gray, the all gray. Whew, that's a nice.
Daniel loves that uniform.
I love that uniform. Who hits better bombs, Blake Burke or Christian Moore?
I don't know, man. Simo, obviously he hit more, but there's just something so majestic about seeing like Blake Burke just get into one
from the left side,
and then just simply metaphorically say, "Get this bat as far away from me as possible." Just the swing.
I was pro Blake Burke always until Hoover when Simo took it dead center over the batter's eye, and I just realized, like, man, Christian's so bad. And then
Simo had aggressive home runs, like in Omaha, into the wind. He hit it like 138 miles an hour on the bat.
Cycle at that.
Yeah.
I'm like, golly, man, this guy is really the real deal. But I love Simo, but for this question, I would have to say Blake has just a. I'm only picturing his grand slam against. Was it Ole Miss?
South Carolina?
South Carolina, that's the one.
There.
Throws the
that was the loudest I've heard it, and it had been drizzling and everything, and everybody stayed for that comeback. And when he hit that, boy.
No, it was nice. And the best part is the chances are they were just going to go back to back, so I wouldn't have to choose.
All right. If you were gonna pick between the two to have a shot, I'm not saying you're gonna survive, but a shot, would you rather wrestle a tiger or a bear?
I gotta go with a bear, only because I saw Leonardo DiCaprio do it in The Revenant, and I think he survived. I've never seen someone fight a tiger and win.
I mean, he borderline.
Not saying Leonardo DiCaprio won, but
yeah. I have to go bear for the simple fact you might get lucky and catch one during hibernation, and they're just really tired.
Right.
So, what's funny is we haven't asked this in a while. It was actually because of Blake Burke. I thought about this because Blake answered this question and he said a bear because he was going to play dead and get away with it, and we just laughed. But that was after he said he would try to climb a tree, and Daniel had to remind him that both animals could climb a tree.
Yeah, they both climb trees. I don't think people understand how big a tiger is. Tigers are like twice the size of an African lion.
The best Tennessee answer, I'm going to tell you, you didn't get to play with this guy, but he's there the year before. Christian Scott came on here and told us he was going to outrun a bear, and we told him a bear goes 36 miles an hour, and he still seemed confident he would win, and I don't think so.
Nah, I'm just I'm just getting squared away with the guy upstairs before I meet him in 5 seconds.
Yeah, I get worried about things that hunt at night, that can see well at night. So I'm out on
good.
Tigers.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm probably losing to both.
Yeah, definitely. All right. 5 years in jail or 10 years in a coma?
Jeez, you guys are asking the hard hitters. 5 years in jail. I feel like I'd learn a thing or two.
We call it the National Championship Edition. You can't win a championship and not think this or that doesn't get harder for you. This isn't for the weak.
Yeah, I've got to go 5 years in jail. I'd hope that I'd be like, the nice prisoner who like helped everyone like, with classes and stuff. And, I get to maybe I had the Adam Sandler experience from The Longest Yard and get to play on the football team.
No, and Shawshank Redemption.
Defense only.
Yeah, the Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah, but he's doing like that. He's helping like tax fraud evasion for.
Yeah, that'd be my role.
I mean, hey, you do what you got to do to survive at that point.
Yeah, minus one of those early scenes. Like I don't want that part of Shawshank Redemption.
All right, last question. This is just for fun. Obviously, Valentine's Day, signifies, the day of love. But, this year is the day that college baseball starts. So had you a choice, thankfully you don't have to make this decision, but who's a better Valentine's Day, baseball or your girlfriend?
I mean, the fact that
game that you love,
the fact that she's probably
love.
never going to see this. I mean, she might. Who knows? I mean, there's something so unique about playing baseball with just like your brothers, and it's crazy because neither party understands the other. Like you can't go to your baseball friends and be like, I got a date night with my girlfriend, and have them be like, oh yeah, that's great. Like it's never gonna happen. And then on the other side, my girlfriend's never gonna understand the relationship I have with any of my baseball friends. She understands that I love them and I'll do anything for them, but like the little tiny like experiences that we've had. So I mean, in this sense,
it's opening day. We're like you have worked all fall together for this.
That's the big thing. Opening day.
Am I pitching or am I just stuffing Chinook seeds?
Of course you're on the bump, man.
I've got the rock. Yeah, give me that one, and then hopefully I shove for the better part of 5 innings, and then hand off, eat my Chinook seeds, and then.
I mean, your first game
with Alicia.
Yeah, you even said it. Your first game pitching, you pulled a triple play. Like, think about this. If this was last year and it fell in that scenario, if you would have took the game off, you'd have missed out on that opportunity.
Exactly. So I'll do that, and then we can catch a Valentine's Day dinner after.
Boom.
All right. Well, Chris, man, anything you want to plug or promote before you get out of here?
I mean, you guys are the best. I'm thoroughly pleased that you guys had me on. This is awesome, and I feel like I've been a fan of this show for so long, even before I went to Tennessee, and I feel like I never really had the chance to introduce myself before, and kind of kicking myself in the tail for that, because you guys are fantastic. I love what you guys are doing, not just for Tennessee but for the game itself.
Appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we could just run through the whole Tennessee roster, but we try to grow the game and do the other teams. But I mean, we've never not liked the Tennessee episode. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you guys having me on, man. This was awesome.
Absolutely. We appreciate you, Chris. If there's anything we can do for you, man, along the way, if you want to just come on and talk baseball, hey, we're down to have that too, man.
I'll talk shop with anybody. That's
all. All right. Chris, one thing I got to ask, all right? Mm-hmm. I meant to ask this earlier when we were talking about the ring. Are you going to be the ring guy that like wears this everywhere, or are you going to be the guy that puts it up like on display and like very selective?
That one, because I don't ever want it to get stale. And not that the national championship will ever get stale, but it's like I have little things that I've collected. Like I have my glove, I have the clay from the mound, I now have my trophy. I'm gonna have these two. I have just a lot of like little things that I don't even tell people about. They're eventually gonna be a part of like a man cave, so that when I'm like 85 years old, I can just sit and drink whiskey and just like reminisce on Tennessee baseball and have a good time.
I mean, that sounds dope to me.
I mean, you talked about the glass half full earlier and looking at things. I mean, Chris, imagine, good thing that these came after. Imagine if this was what you would have lost, because there's no way to replace that.
Oh my God. I would be so depressed. No, yeah, it's probably a good thing that they didn't come in. But I mean, everything else that, people from Tennessee have sent me, it's like even that stuff is going to be a part of my collections, because it's so cool, because some of it has a taste of other people's experience, which is cool to see like how other people saw and, supported our team.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's get out of here. Let's get close to, one day closer to college baseball season kicking off and getting going. First pitch is soon. Can't wait. All right. So if you like hearing Chris's story, or you just like hearing us average Joes talk X's and O's, please share the podcast on Facebook. Don't worry about X, because we're not on there anymore. A lot of things are positive by not being on there. So we're not a political statement, just a healthy, mental health conscious decision. But with that, we're on YouTube. Head over, click like, click subscribe, click the notifications so that you're first to know when new content is dropped, because it's dropping all the time. Jim is dropping it like it's hot every day. Something's going up, and we would love for the feedback, love for the hearts, hugs, loves. We'll take it all. Jim, we had another awesome week. Appreciate you, man. We got another good week coming up next week. Enjoy Valentine's Day. Make sure you watch college baseball. And as always, strong body, sharp minds, grit and grind all the time. We are out.